Hey, what up, guys and gals? Jesse here from Long Lost Robots. I am so excited to be back on YouTube. It's mid February 2023. I got a new Mac Mini M2. I have a new studio. I have some new gear. I have some new songs. But you know what? None of that matters if we're not recording songs and getting them done. And that's what this channel is going to be all about. I'm so excited to be back because the main goal is for me just to inspire and get everybody recording as much music as possible so you can build your legacy. Now, right now, I'm working with the MPC One. I've written the whole song here. The whole song production is here in the MPC One. It is controlling 3 analog pieces of gear. The pad is from the JU06 that you will hear in the song. The harp arpeggiator is from the old Korg X50. It's an old multi-purpose synthesizer that I have. I highly recommend, if you have an MPC, to get a multi-purpose synthesizer. I call it that because it has pianos, drums, trumpets, guitars, synthesizers. It is loaded up and you can usually get them pretty cheap. We'll talk about that in another video. And then the drums is from the Behringer RD6. I got this in December for like 120 bucks. It is very limited in sound. And as a matter of fact, it's a fixed sound. It only has like a little distortion button here. But other than that, it's a cool drum machine on its own, but it's even cooler when you control it with the MPC One, opens up its functions. Again, the sound is fixed. Now, I wrote this song with the drum machine, the RD6. I got very excited, started playing with it, came up with this really cool like hi-hat, and the way it just reacts with the MPC One is just amazing. So for a long time too, I had been wanting to record a song with a harp, and I'm just thinking, look, this is a cool beat. Break out the arpeggiator from the MPC One. Let's see what happens, and the magic came. So I also have most of my lyrics done. A couple lines in a verse that I need to do, but the main choruses and the main verses are ready to go. The song is finished here in MPC One. Let's go ahead and check here. You can see in song mode, I have only 12, let's say, sections in the song. Now these are all sequences. Here's your sequence. Here is how many it loops, how many times the sequence loops, and here's how many bars the song is, right? So you can see here in this intro, it's 8 bars. This verse is a 4 bars. It's kind of like a little tiny bridge. And in my verse, you can see it's 16 bars. So let me go ahead and show you why I like to keep my sequences as long as possible. Inside, you can see, let's look at my main verse. I have 16 bars in my main verse. And I do that because if you start breaking your main sections up, like your intros, verses, choruses, into little small sequences, you're only going to have to deal with more editing in between each sequence. That way you get a nice flowing sound. So if you change a sound inside one sequence, well, it needs to be changed in another sequence, depending on what that sound is, of course, because they do change throughout the whole song or sequence, certain parameters. But if you keep all your bars longer, like a verse, a 16 bar verse, that's how long the verse is. It doesn't need to be any longer, any less, and I can change that, of course. But why have a verse or a chorus broken up into sections when you can have as many bars as you want, keep the song simple, and when you go back into song mode, it's a very small song. It's really not that long. I mean, look at that, guys. Look at that. 12 sections or 12 sequences in the song. Not a big deal. So let's go ahead and bring up Logic Pro 10. You can see the song is in MPC One. I have Logic Pro right here. What I highly recommend is that you start building templates for your real life gear. I've never used templates in Logic Pro because I was creating a part inside Logic Pro, and then I would come up with my next track, and then come up with my next track, or I would have a guitar part or something really cool, so I know, okay, let me get a drum going, and let me get a track for my guitars, and I would build my songs that way and just start leveling and leveling. I'm not doing that with the MPC One. That's why I love writing with the MPC One, is because I can just start adding all my instruments and not thinking of tracks, but thinking of instruments, and then bring it right into here. So the templates are going to save your ass all day long. You can see here I have everything labeled already. Kick 1, kick 2. I'll talk about that in another video. I have snare 1, snare 2. Again, hi-hat toms, because my hi-hats come out of 2 hi-hats, open and close, come out of 1 signal through from the RD6. Same with the toms. There's a low tom and a high tom. They come out of 1 signal. So I have 1 track for 2 sounds. And that's very limiting, but I'm telling you, the more you limit yourself, yourself with, especially on this level and at the home level, it's going to be a lot easier on you guys, right? I even have auxiliary tracks set up. I need to label this one, of course. But look at, here's my sum for my synthesizers, my JU06. A second track for that, a harp, and a second track for the harp. Look at all my auxiliaries. I have a phaser, I have my reverb, I have a second reverb, I have a delay stereo. All of my auxiliaries are ready to go. That way, once I press record and everything's ready to go inside the DAW and it's recorded, I can start working the magic and start automating just a little bit, turning effects on and off as if I was pressing pedals live. It's okay to do some slight automation like turning things on and off, or maybe even some panning before you start mixing. You're just simply turning an effect on and off. I do not do any automation, of course, before I mix. So when we're in Logic Pro, all you have to do, of course, is come up into your Logic Pro settings, come in here and make sure your MPC ONE is talking to Logic Pro 10. You can do this with everything, and of course, MPC is made to link up with Ableton. I don't use Ableton. You can go directly into Midi if you'd like. You can come over here. You can see your sync settings. Go into Midi sync project settings. Over here, you can see this clock. So as you can see, there is no MPC ONE here. This is all the devices that are being recognized by Logic Pro 10 right now. It will not be recognized because I'm not hooking it up by USB. If the MPC was hooked up through a USB to Logic Pro 10, to my computer, it would be reading right now. I don't have it that way. I just have MIDI cables. So I go to all. I go over here, check my clock. That way the MIDI clocks are set together. And down here, I have the start position. I have it started on bar 2. So you can see up here, I'm going to get a little crazy. You can see my bar 2. It starts like this. So in this section, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and so on. You can do that here through 2, 2, 3, 4, right? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, and those are all of your bars. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a full video on syncing MIDI together, because there is MIDI lag. It's not just telling it where it wants to start, but you have to compensate. And you can actually see right here, there's a delay right here, so you can go and fine tune it here, and you can do the clock starting over here. So this is like a delay on like when it's coming out and all that good stuff, right? So it can get very complicated. I'm just going to do a video on it because I need to practice it myself. Anyways, guys, once you get this set up, once you get your MIDI set up, very simple, just like I showed you. Very, very simple. Open up Logic Pro settings, go to MIDI, go to your sync, because it usually sets up on general. Go to sync, MIDI sync and project settings. Make sure it's set to all, or if it's reading your MPC ONE, fine and dandy, clock, and you don't need to do anything else. I am simply going to start this on bar 2 because I'll show you why. All right, guys, so we have our MIDIs connected together. Logic Pro is talking to the MPC ONE. All we got to do is make sure that all of our volumes are set, so you can do some fine tuning on your hardware if you need to, and to the input settings onto your interfaces. I have 2 interfaces here. I have the Claret and the 18i20. And I have them connected to an aggregate device, meaning the Claret is controlling the 18i20. So now I have all of my inputs, as many as I need. Well, there's 10 at most, right? So if you don't have an interface that can get you at least, a good 8 inputs or maybe 4, the 18i20 is a perfect price point. It works very well. And if you have analog gear and you don't have an interface to record all of that, I suggest stop buying gear, get that interface so you can record properly. Now, everything's connected. Our volumes are set. I have all my volumes visually. All my halos are all in the green. I'm not popping. I'm not clicking. Let's go ahead and hit record. We can check out the song a little bit, and then we'll move on and go over a couple more things before we end this video. Starts on bar 2. See here why it's very nice to have everything in sums. Look how easy it is for me to go over everything. Go over my hi-hat. Zoom in on that. There's my hi-hat. The ARP cuts out on the verse. That way the vocals can come in and take over the song. And if the ARP was going to go ahead and continue throughout the whole song, it gets old very fast. Now listen to these little jazzy parts that I kind of just plugged in there with the ARP. It's kind of like just kind of held down the ARP button on the MPC One and just hit my pads when I wanted it. And it just came out perfect. Gave it a very live feeling. Here's some toms. You see those toms come in just a very little bit, just to give it a little bit of flair, and once it's mixed in together, it comes out really good. Listen to that J06, that pad, really cool. So for the purpose of this video, we're not gonna listen to the whole thing. So I'm gonna record it because I'm recording right now. I'm gonna kind of real time this video with you guys, real time my videos to make sure that you're seeing my process and we're recording and getting songs done. So I'm gonna let this record and play out, and we'll meet you at the end of that, okay? All right, guys, so that's it. The audio's done. I'm right here at the end of the song. I want to point out something right here. Recording analog gear with your MPC going live right into the DAW in real time can have some really cool effects. Now, here's a little one. Let's go ahead and go to the end of the song here, which I just was. I'm going to play that and watch how it ends. It's really cool. And you can see how the MPC stopped because Logic Pro stopped, and it allowed the little hi-hat to sizzle out. It allowed the J06 to just drown out on its own, just to play out. And that allows a natural feeling. When you're using external gear and you're recording it right in real time into your DAW, it's practically the same as somebody playing. You've now programmed all your notes into the MPC, press play in Logic Pro, it plays the MPC One, and bam, we're ready to go. I am going to show you a couple of quick things in this video about the MIDI, the MIDI syncing problems that can happen. Now, here's my hi-hat. I want you to see something. Let's go ahead and still getting used to this bad boy, to my touchpad here. All right, so I want you to see where we're starting at. Here is bar 2. You can see bar 2 right up here. As you can see, it's not in bar. It didn't start on bar 2. It's a very kind of late. So what you have to do is in your MIDI syncing section, you have to sync this up, or sometimes what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and open this up a little bit more. And what I am going to do is I'm going to kind of get it right here. I'm going to get this bad boy. I'm going to Command All. I'm going to Command T and cut everything. I'm going to come down here, select all of that, and get rid of everything. I'm going to go ahead and select everything. Let's go ahead and bring this down a little bit. Bam. Okay. Look at everything is at the beginning. Here's what happens now when we start on bar 1. Everything sounds fine, right? Here's the thing that I want you to understand. And of course, when you're in your MPC One, you have to go to your MIDI clock, if I did not show you, and turn it on or off. Not a big deal. I can turn it off now. When I play here, it's not going to double over everything. So when you're in your, when you're ready to record too, make sure you come over here to your sync in MPC One and go to MIDI clock settings. Again, if you're at home, you go into your settings or one of your settings center area here, go over here to sync, turn it on, right? I want you to understand that you can get away with doing it this way. But yeah, just make sure you're not overcompensating and cutting off too much, because then if you start, let's say, putting things on time, like another drum over this. Let's say you wanted to add some hi-hats into here for some reason, or whatever it might be, another kick, another snare, and you're going to map it to this and do all that stuff. It will be off a little bit, but here's the brilliant thing about doing it this way is it gives it a very natural feel. So let's say I want to add some synthesizer parts to this, and I'm going to use software inside of Logic Pro 10, and I record them, and I record it over this. Now, it's not perfectly on time here, right? But what that's going to do is give it a very nice, live, human feel. Everything will not be synchronized. Everything will not be quantized. It will give it a nice, live feel. So if I play guitars, it's going to give it a natural feel. If I'm going to play bass, which I think I'm going to do over this song, because I've tried digital synth basses on this song and it wasn't quite working. We'll see how that goes. So I want you to understand, if you edit your MIDI this way and bring it back to bar 1 and it's fine, believe me, and you press play, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. Now, if you start recording and there's something wrong and you start adding software pieces to this and things aren't lining up, First off, do not quantize it at 100%. Leave it the way you naturally played it. If you play a natural piano player, I don't care how good they are, if they are the best piano player in the world, they will never hit on one. It could be a little something right before or a little something right after. If it's noticeable, it's noticeable. You correct it. If it is not noticeable, but you can notice it with your eyes, you're overthinking things and you will never get things done. It will be just fine. As long as it's on time and you can play things in your software, in your DAW, and it's syncing up with the analog, real waveform recordings that you have, you're good. Leave it alone. Go with it. So, having said that, everything is now ready for me to record. It's as if I recorded how many people in one shot. It's awesome. I love it. Let's get rid of that piece. So here's my kick. Here's my snare. There's my hi-hat. Let's get out of the zoom. Here are my toms. You can see they only come in a little bit. There's my JU06. Now there's my harp. Now, what you can do if you want is you can go ahead and option these right down, and you can double up immediately and start doing different things EQ-wise or compression-wise, and come up with a new sound. And believe me, you're gonna, when you're listening to your creation through a mixing board, and you hear everything that's going on through the mixing board, it will sound different by the time you plug it into your interface and get it into the DAW, because now it's a much drier signal. So you're like, man, what happened to that little beefiness? What happened to that whatnot? Well, it's a lot different than taking the chord here, plugging it in here, plugging it into your interface. Two different things. There are EQs here, there are compression here, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So don't lose faith. When you bring it here and it doesn't sound the same, that's because you have to now doctor it up and get it to sound the way you want it to sound. It's a little bit of work, but that's what mixing and production is, okay? All right, guys, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here. If you've lasted this long, hit like, subscribe. I'm going to be doing so many more videos with the MPC ONE, Logic Pro, Real Gear. Yes, we're going to be talking about software. Yes, we're going to be talking about plugins. Yes, we're going to be talking about Console One. But the main thing here for now, guys, is writing songs, recording songs, getting your legacy built so you can have something to be proud of and not just have all this gear and be like, I got nothing to show you. I got gear, though. If that's your thing, cool. That's not what we're doing here. We're recording songs. My name is Jesse. Hit like, subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon on the next video. Talk to you soon.